Soul Searching, Uncovering Fake Sneakers with me, Alastair Meiklejon. Sneakers or trainers? It is an age-old question which can only be answered depending on which side of the Atlantic you may be placed. But regardless of what you wish to call them, they are a booming market for collectors. For the sake of this article, though, we shall refer to them as sneakers, if only for the fact that the phenomena that has emerged in the last few decades is primarily an American-sourced entity, despite being a worldwide fascination. What is the sneaker market? Put simply, sneakers have now become a very calculable item in the marketplace, with manufacturers producing limited lines of shoes that are endorsed by sports personalities, musicians, and others. From the back of this, the secondary market, second-hand but brand new condition, is booming. Where did the sneaker market start? Well, let's talk about basketball. Basketball was possibly the first sport that necessitated very specific shoes, or sneakers, to play the sport. In doing so, many college undergraduates began wearing them casually as well, and that is where the infamous Converse All-Star shoe, then known by the commercially challenging title of the non-skid, developed its classic looks. One could possibly write an entire article just on this piece of iconic Americana, but we are going to focus a little later and move to the 1970s. In 1971, all the major players in sneaker production were aware that player endorsement was a significant key to profits within their field. The aspirational attitude of basketball players that crossed social and racial lines meant that having a superstar's name on your product would appeal to a greater audience. This year, Adidas produced a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar endorsed shoe, with his face on the tongue, similar to the tennis shoes that many people will know and love by Adidas. And Puma also developed a working relationship with Walt Clyde Frazier that became the start of what would become a multi-billion-dollar industry. Sneakers and Michael Jordan. Then, the 1980s happened. If one name could ever be thrown into the ring as the most important brand in sneakers, and possibly one of the most important brands in the world, it is Michael Jordan. In 1984, Jordan signed a $2.5 million endorsement deal with Nike for 5 years to create his iconic brand of trainers. At the time, it was around 3 times more than any other arrangement and set the tone for the decade and beyond. Controversy started the relationship, though, as the eye-catching design meant it fell afoul of the regulations in the NBA of need to be at least 51% white. However, both Nike and Jordan continued to sport the footwear and gather maximum exposure. Moving forward to the 1990s, and Jordan had become arguably the greatest player in NBA history. Not only was he the most well-known player, but possibly one of the most recognizable faces of the 1990s. In 1997, Nike and Jordan came to an arrangement where the Jordan brand became just that, without any visible affiliation with Nike. And the rest, as they say, is history. The modern sneaker market. The Jordan years of the 1980s and 1990s meant that there was a constant rotation of styles, colours, and other factors in the shoes, with people wanting to own certain models or colourways more than others. When these shoes sold out, the inevitable secondary market exploded. Not wanting to be on the back foot with this recent phenomenon, the brand decided to start releasing limited edition sneakers. As soon as they did this, they were pretty much guaranteed a complete sellout of each model before they even hit the shelves, or in some circumstances, production. Sneaker authenticity. When we look at the demand for modern collectible sneakers, we are always going to run into certain problems for collectors and resellers, and that is the authenticity issue. As many items of high value and high demand often dictate, the replica market is soaring, and whilst these shoes are very close to the originals, they are of course completely illegal and have nowhere near the amount of detailing or quality that the original sneakers have been made with. The telltale signs that sneakers are not authentic. 1. The smell. It is funny. This is the first thing you will see any trainer buyer or enthusiast do. Open the box and have a good sniff. The reason being that cheaply made shoes will almost always be made with a certain type of glue that gives off a very strong odour. There is also sometimes a smell of acetone or alcohol relating to where the shoe has had to be cleaned, maybe from mistakes or simply from other stains. Remember, the fake shoes will be made in the poorest conditions possible, with next to no quality control. Once they have left the factory, they have won. 2. The boxes. When the first fakes started appearing, the boxes were never present, almost in the same way that fake watches never used to have paperwork until the last 10 years. Now there is almost a complete package when it comes to buying fake sneakers. From hang tags to laces, boxes to tissue paper, they are all faked and replicated to be as close to the original as possible. But they don't always get it right. There are always certain boxes for certain models, and usually the cost of replicating a single box for a model that the replica dealer may only sell 500 of isn't cost effective. So they will use a different box. It probably looks very similar, and to be fair, you're not likely to see the original box anytime soon, so you have no comparison. There will always be mistakes with the barcodes and the fonts as well. Again, these will change from model to model, and as such, unless it is completely correct each time, you know you have a problem. The tissue paper is actually my favourite indicator, and I have had things in the past where this has been the first point of me questioning the authenticity of a pair. Put simply, it doesn't crumble like normal tissue paper, and it usually has no branding, or in some cases the wrong branding. 3. Quality. This should always be at the forefront of anyone's mind when looking at sneakers. And for this test, photographs don't always give away all anomalies, so you need to handle the pieces. In fake shoes, there can be colorway differences, different panels having slightly different colors, and sometimes the color is completely different from the original. The stitching around the midsole should be uniform and correct all the way around. A clear indicator of fakes is poor quality stitching. This can be picked up with a UV light, but should be clear in daylight as well. There have been many cases of people looking for spurious marks for Chinese factories by using a UV light in the past. However, the fakers have caught on to this, and whilst it does still happen with low quality items, the practice has diminished in the very top end of replicas. 4. Circumstances. Where did you get this pair of sneakers? If you're looking at a pair of prototype-only, limited-run Travis Scott sneakers where you need to be a top player in the NBA or a Grammy-winning musician to own them, and your client tells you he was given them by a friend or found them at a car boot sale, the likelihood is that they aren't real. Collectors do, however, buy fakes and real shoes. It's not unusual for people to have collections that they continually update and replace fake shoes with real ones when they can source them. Where to buy collectible sneakers. The market dictates that there are more and more websites springing up each day for fake trainers, and as such, one must really do their research. At the time of publishing, 3 of the sites that are well known and used are StockX, GeoAT, and eBay with authenticity guarantee. These people know their business, and their process for authentication is usually foolproof, but the onus should always be on the buyer to make sure they know where they are sourcing them from. The future of the sneaker market. The future for the sneaker market is, as with many things, always going to be a rough ride. We have seen a lot of models over the last few years drop in value, but that has been across the board with many other collectibles, from watches to handbags. What seems to keep this market flying, though, is the huge range of available items. From £100 to £100,000, there are pieces that people want to own at all levels, and whether or not they keep them in the glass box, or, heaven forbid, actually wear them, there will continue to be new releases every month for people to lust over.